Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Kaba Ilco number 7205 SC1 in a 29 finish. 29 is a black finish. And the rest of that part number is KA2, which we'll discuss what that means in a moment. The important aspect is that this is a mortise cylinder, 1.25 inches in length, and we're going to dissect that part number. So the important thing to know is that this is a mortise cylinder, and a generic 1.25 inch mortise cylinder can be used in countless applications. Trim for exit device, alarm bypass for exit devices, key switches. This cylinder is going to a Securitech high security their electro latch is what it's being used on. A very vandal resistant construction, electrified their electro latch. Securitech, a company, I believe they're in New York or New Jersey. I think it's New York. This cylinder is going to be what's going to operate that trim on the outside. That lock is made in, that trim is supplied in black and stainless as well. This isn't a Securitech video, but that's another use for an 1.25 inch cylinder. It's got the wrong cam on there. That lock requires a clover leaf cam, but this client has a clover leaf cam on the order as well, where they're going to take out the 1 in the part number, that standard cam. So let's talk about this. It's a 7205 from Kaba Ilco. That means from Kaba Ilco that it's 1.25 inches. The underside of the head to the back of the cam is indeed 1.25 inches. The SC means that this is a standard 5-pin Schlage C Keyway, the classic obverse, probably the second most common key blank in the history of the world, the Schlage C Keyway. The client is certainly going to be converting this cylinder into something else, something high security, most definitely is what they'll be putting in there. This is just a placeholder while they get the doors installed. SC, Schlage C. We'll talk about different keyways. The 1 is the numeral after the keyway is a reference to the cam. This is an 863G cam, known as a standard cam, also known as a Yale cam. Yale. If you were to look at a Yale catalog from 100 years ago, you would see mortise locks that take cylinders, and those are going to run Corbin as well. They're going to take standard cams, or what is known as a Yale cam. The standard cam is going to work in your key switches, in usually your exit device trims, wherever you need some sort of key control over something. The only reason you may not use an 1.25 inch length is because it might be too long for your application. If it's an aluminum storefront, you don't need a cylinder so long. I wouldn't suggest that you use one. Get it the right size. You don't want any excessive projecting hardware. Better chance to get a wrench around the head of the cylinder. Mortise locks, those are generally 1.125", depending on the trim ring. So this trim required 1.25", so that's why we're supplying it. When you change the 1 in the part number, you'll get different cams, and we're going to talk about those cams. The 29 is, again, black. That's a black face. On the scalp plate, that's a very thin piece of architectural material that's there, a brass scalp plate over a solid brass body. Being made of solid brass, the cylinder housing, its plug, makes for very smooth operation. Really, really smooth operation because of its very fine caliber type of architectural base material to machine with. I look to use Kaba Ilco every instance that I can because it's a confluence of high quality, predictable, reliable operation for decades, and cost. So they do a great job with that. Now the KA2 at the end, it just happens to mean if you were to order 2 cylinders, KA2, they're going to be keyed alike, and you'll have a total of 4 keys. Speaking of keys, this is a 5-pin, because it's a 7205. If it was a 06, it would be a 6-pin. But the plug, everything is drilled 6. It's just pinned 5 with a look-alike original Schlage bow on the top. Okay, let's switch to the screen view where we can take a look at this item and its supporting documentation. Okay, now here is the item that we are looking at, and a quick summary would be the length 5-pin Schlage C with the 863G, or a standard cam, black aluminum, keyed alike in pairs when you order the keyed alike 2. Now, rekeyable to original manufacturer systems because it's been, made to the same depth and spacing chart as the Schlage original. Furnished with Ilco lookalike keys, which they are. Now, the important part is to, we're just going to do a little bit deeper dive into the part number and the options. Link to the manufacturer's page is here, where we can open up the brass cylinder manual. And that's going to allow us to take a look at the dissection of the part number. So here's our 7205, and that's coming from right here. 1.25 inch, 5-pin. Actually, it's drilled 7-pin, which, there's obviously going to be some keyways that, there's going to be some systems that can be done in a 7-pin. And because of that, they're probably just, I've never seen a cylinder manufactured, but I can imagine when they're gang drilling this, they're probably not swapping out the quantity of drill bits based on the keyway. But it is, so you can obviously pin at 6. There is no 7-pin in a Schlage system. So you can see the other part numbers of cylinders that are options here in terms of length. So when you change the number, you're really changing the length of the item. Okay. The keyway is next, and you can see from the Kaba Ilco chart here that they have lots of possible keyways. And we're doing the Schlage C, which is right here. Now what's handy about that is it tells you that it's an 1145. And that would be a reference to a key blank. So if we did a search in this document for 1145, we're going to find all of the instances where it occurs. And in the back of the catalog, there's a cross-reference chart. So if you needed that cylinder and said, well, I need some more key blanks, you can find that it's an 1145 key blank. Or their SC1 is their easy number. Okay. I can't really say that there are any one keyway is in particular more common. We do get into the Corbin and the Russwin keyways. The D1 by Corbin, the Corbin by Russwin, the Corbin 60 obviously is something that it's available. The Corbin 60, other keyways. They can even get into that old Yale 8 that you will find around. The Lorry 80 is an unusual keyway that you find around every once in a while. They can do a composite Schlage, the SX, which will handle all of their classic obverse keyways, the C, E, CE, F, EF, G, FG, the classic 7 obverse. They'll all pass this. I wouldn't recommend buying it unless you needed like an FG keyway and you wanted a Kaba Ilco cylinder and you can't get an FG. You'd have to go with the composite, that it will take all of those keyways. Lockwood, really old stuff, there, etc. Lots of different keyways. They even have a Schlage Everest, which is nice. Now there's no check pin involved, but the broaching will handle the C145, and that exclamation point is telling us that cylinder has provided less keys. So maybe for whatever reason they're not providing keys. Maybe they don't have the tooling to do it. Maybe the key blank is still under patent protection, which I don't know if it is or if it isn't, but there's obviously some reason they're not. Moving on, we're going to get to the cam or tailpiece and the finish and the keying. That's all on the second page. So here are our cams that I had mentioned earlier. We have a 1 in our part number, and that's the standard 863G cam. This client's application requires the cloverleaf, which is that's the 863S, which is here, the number 19. Okay, so this lock requires this clover cam. What we could have done was ordered a 7205 SC19 that would have included this, which is in effect what we've done here. So different cams, obviously the number 2 cam, the Adams Right cam, super common. You know, we've got people that are doing cylinders on Schlage locks, you know, etc. You know, Falcon is here. That fantail cam is nice if you're working with the Lori deadbolt or the Kaba Ilco deadbolt, which is their 45 series detailed here. Even though they don't have really any good photographs of that, you'd use a fantail cam. It'll also work with an Adams Right cam, but I like the fantail cam because it's you have a lot more surface area of cam moving that bolt back and forward. Now, finish codes, you know, polished brass all the way down through. We're dealing with a 29 black aluminum. Not all of these are stock, but this shows you what the factory's capable of. And then your keying requirements are here as well. Key to like in pairs, or just KA. If you ordered a box of 10 KA, they're all going to be key to like. Every cylinder will have 2 keys. O-bitted is nice if you know you're going to rekey something, which means that they are to the blade height, meaning that they're not 1-bitted, and they may not be O-bitted. They're just going to be blank keys, and whatever that pin length is necessary to achieve that is what will be in there. They won't be uncombinated. But the factory can do any keying that you really require, as can we here as well internally. Okay. The rest of this catalog you can certainly scroll through, and you'll find lots of interesting items in here from Kaba Ilco. Speaking of interesting items, back to the manufacturer's link here, which will take us to this page, you can view not only all of the Kaba Ilco products that we sell, but also a link to that brass cylinder manual we just talked about. A great reference is the key blank catalog as well. This is about 500 pages worth of every key blank that Kaba Ilco currently offers. While that document is not necessarily going to allow you to find the key blank that you need, meaning nothing to say that Kaba Ilco actually manufactures the blank you need, but if you're looking for a key blank, you can very, very often at least use the Kaba Ilco book to help you determine, if not what it is, you can always determine what it's not. That's a very handy way to go about this. So I was just searching for SC1, which is our 5-pin blank. This is the broaching that you see down in the cylinder. If I were to rotate that so we can see it in terms of what a key would look like, let's just imagine it's this one. That's not looking at the tip of the key, that's looking down into the cylinder. So if you have the key in your hand, you'll have to imagine in your mind's eye reversing that. So the document is very handy to at least eliminate what it can't be. So regardless of how you end up using it, that document is there should you ever need it. Looking at the rest of what else is here, a lot of manuals on their key machines. Kaba Ilco is a prolific provider of key machines. Older versions of the catalog as well are listed here. Some prior versions of the document, of the documents. Service manuals. An interesting article on their Kaba Gemini cylinder here. It's a high security cylinder system that is a very interesting read if you're researching high security cylinders. Kaba Gemini is certainly at least a few pages in the chapter of high security cylinders. And then a link to the manufacturer's website. Let's wrap up this video on camera. Okay, a very typical generic sort of cylinder you'll use in a lot of different places. Extremely smooth operation. It's always without any sort of trouble when you're pinning Kaba Ilco material, and is my cylinder manufacturer of choice. And I use them when I can. There are times you can't. You've got a Keyway that they don't do, some sort of length that may not be available. The major lock manufacturers can service their products with variants and derivatives of special everything. You might need something that Kaba Ilco just can't do. But when they can do it, I would highly recommend you use their product because it's really tremendous value. Objectively, I can tell you that I'm not alone in that opinion of Kaba Ilco. Great quality, great value. Subjectively, I like them a lot because I'm probably very familiar with the part numbers. I can also tell you that there is exceptional technical support from those folks, especially the gentleman in the cylinder department, whose support is irreplaceable. And to him, I say thank you very much. Any questions on the on the Kaba Ilco 7205 SC1 and a 29 finish, or any other Kaba Ilco product? Please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.